So now we've seen one action star come back in the shape of Arnold Schwarzenegger with The Last Stand. Now it's time for Sylvester Stallone's turn in Bullet to the Head. Yeah! Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Hypersonic 55 and welcome to another film review, and today's film review will be on Bullet to the Head. Now, I've been following this film for a little while, from when the first images came out to when the first trailer showed up. And when the trailer showed up for the film, I was just like, you know what, this doesn't actually look that good. I don't know why, but the trailers really threw me off. It looked really cheesy and just not like any fun for me. And I was just like, this film could either go one of two ways. It could either be decent or it could just be really crappy. Either way, I didn't have that many high expectations of the film, so I went to see it just on the weekend just to humour myself, but surprisingly, it was a lot better than I expected, and I'm going to tell you why in this review. So the story goes a little something like this. After watching their respective partners die, a New Orleans hitman teams up with a Washington DC detective in order to take out their common enemy. And that is the premise of the film without going into the area of spoilers. The story in this film is pretty decent. I like the way that Jimmy and Taylor's situations happened to cross over, and then how they had to work together in order to take out the person responsible for taking out their partners. It was a nice story. It's a bit cliche, and we've seen this sort of stuff before in action films. So, you have like those elements of revenge and the damsel in distress that's been done before, and you also have some questionable dialogue and acting, but again, this is the action genre. You shouldn't be expecting anything too fantastic. It works for what it is, and there is the right balance of seriousness and humor in the film that works to this film's advantage, especially in the scenes involving Jimmy and Taylor. They were pretty funny. Now let's move on to the character of the Bullet to the Head. Now honestly, there's only a few characters that you'll actually care about after the film is over, and let's start with the main one, which is Sylvester Stallone as Jimmy Bobo. Now before I continue, I just need to mention something. Jimmy Bobo, what kind of name is that? Who the hell names their kid Jimmy Bobo? It's just one of the most random and stupid names ever. I could hardly take him seriously at certain scenes when they mentioned his last name. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that Jimmy Bobo is probably one of the worst names I've ever heard for any character in any form of media ever. Anyway, moving on from that, I liked Stallone as Jimmy in this film. He was pretty good. I liked how he had this no-nonsense approach to anything and didn't take shit from no one, and also knew how to throw down. Stallone is one of those sort of guys that never stops moving, and shows that when you're in the right condition, you can still be beating the crap out of people and working really hard in your 60s and still entertaining people. I thought Stallone was really good in this film, and yeah, he just kicked ass. It was just great to see him beating the crap out of people. That's what I really liked about it. And then there was Kang as Taylor Kwan in the film. He was this detective who was very by the books, makes assumptions about things based on what he knows about the law, and was always trying to enforce the law. And you can see the guy has good intentions, but most of the time it doesn't go his way and leads to him getting into some dangerous situations. He was good for what he was, but I didn't really care about his character unless Jimmy was involved. So yeah, Kang was good, but he just wasn't overly memorable to me. And then there was Jason Momoa as Keegan in the movie. He was just this big old beastly geezer that went out and just wasted so many people in this film. It was pretty ridiculous. Momoa was great in the role. He just knew how to go about and fight. He was very athletic, and his character was just insane though. He goes about and just wastes so many people. That's just something I'm gonna have to tell you now. He just kills a lot. But it was one of the better aspects of his character. He was a good villain. And then everybody else in the film was just fine, but not really worth mentioning. I'm sorry, but it's true. Christian Slater's in there, and I haven't seen him in many films for a while, but he was pretty good. Adora in the film, she's hot, but I didn't really give monkeys about her character. And then there's that guy, that black guy that just shows up in loads of films. I forgot his name at the moment, but I mainly remember him from The Mummy. I love seeing this guy in films. He always seems to be in these sort of films where he's either a good guy or a bad guy, but I like it when he plays villains. He's one of the bad guys in this film, and he's pretty cool, so yeah, props to that guy. So when it comes to the presentation of the film, it's pretty good. And when I say it's pretty good, I'm mainly referring to the hand-to-hand combat, gunfights, and main action sequences in the film. All of this is presented in a pretty nice way, and it looks very pretty in the way in which it's shot. Though, I'm just going to say it right now, this film is all about death. So many people get shot, stabbed, or beaten to death, or to the point of immobilization. And while it's mainly Jimmy that seems to be dishing out the pain a lot of the time, Keegan also leaves a pretty big body count by the time this film is over. And speaking of Jimmy and Keegan, their one-on-one fight was pretty darn awesome. It was nicely paced, it was hard-hitting, and there was a great use of axes in this thing. The only issue I'd say I have with the presentation is the fact that some of the action is filmed pretty close to where these people are doing things, so there may be points where you can't necessarily tell what's going on because of this crazy shaky cam and pretty close action, but otherwise it's alright. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, Bullet to the Head was a lot of fun and way better than I expected it to be. As an action junkie, it ticked all the right boxes for me, and while the story and the dialogue may be just okay at best or maybe even bad, there's a lot of action in the film to go about and make up for all the weaknesses that the film has. And I feel like also, if this film was a bit more of a thriller-based film, then it would have been a lot better for it. But as it stands, Bullet to the Head is a good time. I recommend it. And it's just fun to see Stallone still running about and entertaining his audience in the only way that he knows how, through powerful macho action. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I give the film about a 7.5 out of 10. And yeah, that is it. So until the next time, this is the Hypersonic 55 signing out.